Welcome to Dice Tower Live.
Hello everybody, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to our live look back at 2018. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 family games from the year. So we're going to be going through the just different games. So a couple caveats that we do through all these. First of all, it's live. I can see your comments. So if you have something to say, maybe I'll talk back to you. And at the end, you can ask me why such and such a game didn't make it. 2, I haven't played every game that comes out in 2018. I probably haven't even got close. Although I would argue that I got closer than most people. Thirdly, what exactly is a family game? Well, that's going to be problematic, right? So for me, a family game is looked at, I use it as a better term than gateway game. A family game is an easy game to play as a family together, whether it's you, your spouse and your parents, or you, your spouse and some kids. These are not necessarily kids games. In fact, you may be looking for some specific kids games, and they will likely show up on my top 10 kids games of 2018. I don't try to have too much overlap between these lists, which then again means the lists aren't necessarily that, like number 5, don't get number 5, get number 1 type situation. So with that being said, you might argue and say some of these are kids games, and I would say, well, maybe so, but adults can have as much fun playing them. Every game on this list I could play with my kids, I think. And yet every game on this list I would also play with adults. So it meets both those criteria. So, for example, throwing out the name of a game, and once again, I forgot to turn the mic up. Throwing out the name of the game, My Little Scythe, which I think is a very good game, but I would look at that as a complete kids game. I would not play My Little Scythe, for example, with adults. So it would not be on this list. So, with that being said, let's get started. Number 10! On my games list here is a reprint of an older game with some amazing artwork involved in the reprint. Rob Davio oversaw the reprint from Restoration Games, and that is Dinosaur Tea Party. So Dinosaur Tea Party is a deduction game. And this one works really well, especially if you know people who like games like Guess Who. Each person in this game is one of these dinosaurs. And so there are various dinosaurs, and some dinosaurs are drinking, and some are eating, and some are wearing hats. The sign of a classy dinosaur. And they all have different names and things. And so, again, the artwork for this is really phenomenal. And so you are trying to guess who other people are by asking them, are you wearing a hat? Are you drinking, etc.? And it's just fun, except there's a lie. There's always one person who answers opposite what every other answer they have to say no to. And stuff like that throws the game a little bit more than just basically Guess Who. I like it. It's a fun theme, and this one has gone over very well, and I recommend it. That's Dinosaur Tea Party, my number 10. Number 9 is a game from, let's just go over it. It's Haunt the House. This is from Kitchen Table Board Games. That's right, from Josh Lane at Capel. This game, you are ghosts and you're trying to haunt the house. This is not the only game with this theme, but here's all these investigators, and each investigator is scared by various things, and so you are trying to scare them out using various things and get them out of the house. This game, initially, I thought was like a kid's game when I saw the artwork and stuff, but there's actually more to it than that. You're kind of like you can push your luck a little bit. You play some cards face up, some cards face down. And so overall, like I said, again, the artwork is a big push to this game. Josh Capel just is a great artist. But the whole idea of scaring people out of the house is a lot of fun. So my number 9 here is Haunt the House. Number 8 is a game that I'm not sure is available yet on the American market, and I hope that it will be because I believe the designer is American. And that's a game from Amigo called Lighthouse Run. So Lighthouse Run is, there's lighthouses, but you are moving down a river with your boats by playing various cards and moving, but you can only move if the area you're moving into is lit by a lighthouse. Now this is important because you can move those lights around, and so it's a very long board. So here's a big chunk of the board with really cool lighthouse pieces and just simple playing the cards and moving the pieces along. Very light game, but I enjoyed it a lot. And this is a game I think, again, you could even let kids play this by themselves or play with other adults. That's fun. So that is Lighthouse Run. A couple things here. Some people said, will all top 10s be live from now on? Probably. Some people are asking things that have nothing to do with family games, so we'll see. Anyway, that is my number 8, Lighthouse Run. Number 7 is a game that comes from a fairy tale, or like every fairy tale squashed into one game, and that is Gingerbread House. Gingerbread House is a fantastic game. Nibble, nibble, gnaw. Who is building at my little house? Who is building at my little house? Oh, that's kind of a weird catchphrase. Anyway, by Phil Walker Harding. In this game, you are a witch, and all these jerks here are eating your house. You don't like that, so you're going to eat them. But what this game does is you have this 3x3 grid that you're going to be placing in front of you and putting tiles on that, trying to get these matching resources, which you will then attract people like Alice and Peter Pan and Prince Charming and an ogre and of course Hansel and Gretel, those greedy kids, into your house, and then you get points for doing so. The components for this game are really pretty looking. You get points for getting the various people in. There's secret objectives. You can use stairs to make your tiles higher. This is not a complex game by any means, but it is one that I really enjoy, not just for the theme, but it's also fun to play. So that is Gingerbread House. That's number 7. Number 6 is a game that we all like because it's based on a theme many people are pleased to think about, breakfast cereal, and that is Monster Crunch, the breakfast battle game, where you be Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Boo Berry, Yummy Mummy, or Fruit Brute. This is a ladder climbing game or a card shedding game where you're trying to get rid of all the cards that you have in your personal deck. As you can see, they look like breakfast cereal, so that's a lot of fun too in this game. You each have special abilities, and you're playing cards in singles or pairs, trying to outplay everybody else and get rid of them. Very light. This is an example of a genre that there are a lot of games that are part of this genre. This is one of the lighter ones, but it's a theme I think that a lot of people will enjoy. And so, Monster Crunch, the breakfast battle game. All right. And, well, I'll get to that at the end here. I'll mention it now before I do number 6. I'm noticing some people in the comments saying, well, such and such a game, some big heavy game is good with my family. Fantastic. You're not who I'm making this list for. I'm making this list for people who have normal families, who may not play every single board game that comes out, and these are games that I would recommend you to get for people. I would give all these games out as a gift. I would not give out John Company as a gift. All right, number 5. Oh, we're already halfway through. Number 5 is a game that, did I skip number 6? Oh, 5. Okay, never mind. My editor is criticizing my pronunciation. Number 5 is a game, another one based on fairy tales, and this is the Grimm Forest. Now, initially, I thought about putting the Grimm Forest as a kid's game, and maybe I will still. But the Grimm Forest, part of its charm is that there's some really cool plastic pieces in it, like, ooh, look at all that stuff. But it also, you are essentially one of the pigs, and you're trying to build houses by going to these different areas on the board, the forest, the fields, the brickyard, or the market, and get these resources. Where I hesitate to call this a kid's game is because there's some pretty strong take that elements in this game. You are sending the big bad wolf and a dragon after other people. And it really comes together where, hey, I'm going after these people, I'm going to go get this stuff, and you kind of have this back and forth with each other. And it's still a very simple game, and the theme is going to attract a lot of people to it, especially the beautiful pieces. So my number 5 is the Grimm Forest. Number 4. Number 4 is a great game with 2, 3, or 4 players, and that is Drop It. Okay, Drop It is a game in which you're going to be dropping shapes into a plastic bin. So the way Drop It works is you have one color of all these shapes. Okay, now they're over here. Or if you're playing 2 players, you have 2 colors, and you drop a shape in, and that shape can't touch the same color, and it can't touch the same shape. And then wherever it falls, as long as it falls above a line, you'll get that many points. And you also get bonus points if you touch these little dots along the way. But if you touch the same color or the same shape, you get nothing. And also if you touch a side, which says you can't touch that. So there's a lot of things you can't touch. And all you're doing is dropping at the top. But it's more strategy than you think, and it is a ton of fun. This game does extremely well. You can buy this gift for some people over Christmas, and they will just have a blast playing it over and over and over again. So that is my number 4. Drop it. Number 3 is another game that I think is not yet on American shores, but should be at some point, from Blue Orange Games. Blue Orange makes a ton of great family games, and that is Planet. So Planet is a game in which you are creating your own planet. You are doing so by having a dodecahedron with magnets on the side. And see this one here? Okay, so all these are magnetic pieces that you're putting, your dodecahedron actually has metal sides, the pieces are magnets, and you put them on the sides, forming shapes and trying to get animals. So as you play through the course of a game, the game's going to be, I think, 12 rounds long. Here's a picture from the rule book showing, and each round you'll be drafting from 5 of these tiles, and you'll be putting one on the side of your planet. And then as you get farther in the round, like here, this turtle card will go to whoever has the biggest blue area that's also touching sand. This one goes to the biggest snow area that's not touching water. So you can see what's coming up ahead, and you can plan for it. Very simple decisions, only 12 turns to the whole game. You'll be taking 12 tiles, putting them on your planet, and then trying to score these animals. It's a really excellent game, and that is my number 3, Planet. I don't know why I can't count today. All right, let's get to number 2. Number 2 is a reprint, but this reprint is there are several reprints on this list, but so be it. Number 2 is a reprint, and it's a reprint that was so well done and takes a game that when I initially played it, I thought was okay, and I've enjoyed it more and more, and now I think the game is phenomenal. Could almost be considered a party game, and that is Camel Up. So Camel Up, this is the new version from Eggertspiel / Plan B Games. And in this game, you are racing camels around a track. Except sometimes camels land on each other's back, and then they will go in, well, if you're on top of the black and white camel, you go the wrong direction. And the other camels are going forward. You are betting on which camels will go through. It can go up to 8 players. It has some fantastic, when you open the board, that tree pops out. Boop! That tree comes out. You don't have to put it together, which is nice for those people who have to put stuff together. And then you're betting on who's going to win each leg and also who's going to win the race in general. The whole game board and stuff just looks really cool. It is a lot of fun to play this game. I really enjoy it. It's just a tremendous fun. Some of my best experiences have come from playing Camel Up. Highly recommend it. My number 2. All right. And number 1, my favorite family game from 2018. And I should mention before I talk about number 1 that there are a lot of games I could have put on my list. I'm noticing some people here mentioning Reef, for example. Reef was a great game that could have made my list. There's just piles and piles of really cool family games. So I tried to make a nice balanced list of 10 really cool games that I would recommend you buy for someone else's family. And so the number 1 for that one easily is Fireball Island. Fireball Island, another reprint, The Curse of Volcar. Again, people are going to look at this as a kid's game. And again, it can be looked at as a kid's game, and kids could play it. But I won't turn it down. See, I played more kids' games than probably anyone else on earth. I like kids' games, and I have a lot of kids, and I play kids' games with them. But most of the kids' games that I play, were my kids not around, I wouldn't touch them. Fireball Island, though, I'll get that out and play with anybody. I'll take it to the retirement home and we're going to play it there. I'll take it out to the thing. Look at all this stuff. This is like Fireball Island with all its expansions. You don't need them. You don't need that. You don't need that. You do need the bees because the bees are amazing. All right. But Fireball Island, a really cool game where you're trying to run around the island and get things while avoiding fireballs. It's a dexterity game. I have a soft spot for games where you're flicking marbles at each other. And then, of course, there's Volcar. Look at that guy. He's so mean looking. He spits fireballs at you. And bees. Anyway. So someone in the comments here says this is basically a toy. Just as a small heads up, all board games are toys. I know. When the guy in the front of the cover is like, and it's just cardboard shits, it's a toy that's maybe not as fun looking as the others, but you're playing with a toy. So if you're going to put me down for playing with a toy, so are you. Just mine looks more fun than yours does. Ha, 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 ha. All right, so those are my top 10. The Fireball Island being number 1. Let's see what your comments say. Azul Stained Glass. Yeah, that's okay. I like that one, but it wouldn't be in my top 10. That's all. I think it's a fun game. My Little Scythe came out in 2017. Not really. My Little Scythe is a 2018 game, in my opinion, because it came out either the very last week of 2017 or in January 2018. No Gizmos. Gizmos is a lot of fun, but there's a lot of different symbology on it and doesn't work well with families. It's more of a lighter gamer's game to it. Stuffed Fables, I consider that to be a straight-up kids game. Ticket to Ride New York, yeah, that would be a good one. That's an interesting one. Solenia, I have not played, which is why that's not on the list. Is there a cooperative way to play Fireball Island? Maybe, but I wouldn't. I like to knock over other people's pieces. That would kind of like take out the whole joy of the game. Will the vest continue in 2019? Looking good, but I worry the extra layers do not play well in southern Florida humidity. Well, I'm hoping that 2019 isn't hotter than 2018. Is it going to be? Have we heard? Do you know? I figured that 2019 and 2018 would be like the same temperatures. Happily, we have air conditioning here. Do you like using the original marbles or the deluxe for Fireball? Oh, yeah. I like using a deluxe, for sure. Let's see here. No word games like Just One. Well, that's a good question. I think a lot of party games are great family games, but I have actually removed those and have my own category for party games. Villainous. Yeah, Villainous almost made this list. I actually like Villainous better than several of these games, but again, I was just thinking of games I would give away as gifts, and so these are the ones that happen to make on the list. Space Base. Yeah, Space Base is a good one. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Pandemic Fall of Rome? No, that's a gamer's game. Come on now. Have you seen Pandemic Fall of Rome? I know Z's like a gaga over it, and it might be fantastic. I don't know. But it don't look that great. Looks like a bunch of cubes scattered all over the board. Expansions. I already did those yesterday. Would you say if not most of these games are good entry-level games as well? Sure. Again, I use family as code for gateway. The gateway terminology sounds like drugs, gateway drugs. We understand what it means, but I also don't necessarily like gateway because it's almost kind of like, play this game. Now I got you. Play Scythe. No, I mean, I think you could literally just play these games your whole life and be happy with those. You don't have to play like a gateway game and then get 2 better games. The River? No, I didn't think The River was that great. Men at Work, that's cool. It's a neat dexterity game. Hail Hydra, family game? It's more like a social deduction. I don't know that I would play that as a family game. Let's see. Treasure Island? Maybe. I don't know if I would say Treasure Island, because Treasure Island is a deduction style game, and so I'm not convinced that that would be one that would fit into this category. Blah, 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 blah. Alrighty. Well, I think I'm caught up, and you say, Vasel, that was only 20 minutes long. That's right, because we got other stuff. In fact, at 2 o'clock, you think this video is short? My 2 o'clock video will be longer. Me, Sam, and Z will be back here, all 3 of us, and we'll be doing our top 10 gaming experiences. Maybe it was with you. We'll find out. We're going to tell you our favorite gaming experiences of 2018. Tomorrow I'll be back at the same time going over my top 10 small games. You know, games that are small don't necessarily get the love that the top 10 games get of all time. So, you know, sometimes it's good to talk about littler games. So I'll be talking about those tomorrow. And then next week and the week after, I'll be talking about innovative games and games with distinctive themes and party games and kids games and 2-player games, games with the best artwork, games with great components. So that's all coming up. Doing 1 or so of those a day. Also, did you know Christmas is around the corner? Alrighty. I am awake. I am ready. I will see you back here at 2 o'clock. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching live Top 10 Family Games of 2018 on the Dice Tower.